Shortly after being fired from his coding position at a downsizing tech firm, 34-year-old Irvine native Sam Morrison told reporters Monday that he believed he had finally achieved the sort of work-life balance for which he has long strived.
Yeah, ever since I got fired, it just seems like my whole entire routine is just clicking. I go for jogs in the afternoon, spend nights with my wife and kid. I'm even cooking more. Everything just feels right.
Morrison, who since his termination has found time to pick up reading again, eat a healthy diet, and sleep more than 5 hours a night, noted that his unemployment has allowed him to find a level of harmony in his personal life that he never before thought possible.
For a while there, I thought that I was going to spend the rest of my life constantly worrying about getting to the office on time and pleasing my boss. Outside of the late payments on the house, the mounting credit card debt, the rapidly depleting savings, my life is essentially stress-free. I honestly couldn't be happier.
This is the Onion News Network.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. We should be hearing some intro music at this point for the show, but we're apparently experiencing some technicalities, as I like to say. But we are live. We are on the air. This is Free Talk Live. Our phone number, if you'd like to join the conversation, is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. You can take control of the airwaves, talk about, well, anything you want. You can talk about anything we're talking about, stuff we've talked about in the past, stuff you think we should talk about that we haven't. It's all up to you. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass. We have a special guest joining us, and you are?
The Domster.
The Domster. Make sure you lean up against the mic, almost like put it on your face when you're talking into it.
The Domster.
There you go. All
How's
right.
that?
And
I'm nobody.
All right. And we're going to kick this thing off tonight with a little bit of this is something that Richie Rich actually brought to our attention. Apparently, Germany, the German MP, has suggested similar restrictions to COVID-19 lockdowns to fight climate change.
Okay.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Because that makes sense somehow.
It doesn't make any sense to me. This headline is baffling. I haven't read this article in advance, so I can't tell you what's in it if you're about to ask questions. But I was just like, okay, we know that governments rarely give back power once they take it, right? We've seen that with, anything really, right? We saw it with prohibition, right? It used to be you could just make alcohol, sell alcohol, and, transact and, however you want or whatever. Prohibition came around, and instead of, they say prohibition ended. Well, it didn't really end. What they did is they just regulated and taxed it heavily, right? So now you got to get licensing and all that kind of stuff to do alcohol or be in the alcohol business.
They say slavery ended too, but it actually didn't if you look at the 13th Amendment.
Well, they just made everybody a slave, right? And
yeah, pretty much.
We just have slavery light, is like I like to call it.
Yeah. Well, everybody's a part-time slave, but then they're still authorized to enslave anyone who breaks any law, which is everyone, since they've now passed so many laws that you can't turn around without breaking one.
Yeah, there are so many laws that they can't be counted, literally. Like, people have tried, and they can't.
So doesn't that mean they don't count?
Well, that means that they died counting? I'm not really sure. I don't think anybody died counting laws, but something like 40,000 new laws every year. Right?
How do I enslave thee? Let me count the ways.
Yeah, on top of, all of the laws that exist already. And so, of course, with COVID-19, the governments have gone way too far with their authoritarianism in these lockdowns and masking orders and, all that fun stuff that we've been experiencing.
I'm kind of convinced
March.
they jumped the shark in, 1972 or so. So they've been in way too far land for a long time.
Yeah. But, we continue to see, like, even with the Patriot Act, that was supposed to be temporary, and they just renewed it, for another 6 months, another year, and then they're like, oh, no, now it's in perpetuity, right?
There's nothing more temporary or nothing more permanent than a temporary government program.
It's the closest thing they've developed to immortality.
Yes.
If you can't be immortal, try to be a government program.
So we saw, the Patriot Act, of course, brought us the TSA. That hasn't gone away, of course. Although
Thousands standing around.
Although while we're asking questions, whatever happened to terrorism? Did we solve terrorism? It seems to be gone.
Yeah, well, once they've started their next war, they don't worry about their last one. Now we're in war on COVID. So none of the things that they have little wars on were issues before they had wars on them.
Somebody mentioned to me that the lockdown solved mass shootings. And I said, well, is the government still bombing people?
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems like a mass shooting to me, just one big bullet.
I will
right?
say that they have found the perfect way to stop school shootings, which is shut down the schools.
I mean, that's been like a libertarian ideal for a long time, right? Homeschool all your children, get them the hell out of public schools because, they're being brainwashed for 12 years or more.
I mean, homeschool them or private school them or, do something with them.
Yeah, that's not public schools.
That's not. There was a great talk. Somebody gave it to the NRA years ago where he said, okay, well, we found all the problems. We've solved all these gun law problems. They're going to repeal all the gun laws except one, which is you have to, they're very concerned about safety. So they want you to, they want to do daily inspections of your weapons to make sure they're safe. So every day they're going to send a car by and they're going to pick up your guns and, they're going to take them back to a big building and check them out and make sure they're safe and functioning properly. And then they'll return them every night. And of course, all the NRA members were like, that's crazy talk. We're not going to do that. The guy said, well, why do you do it with your children?
Oh, nice. I have not heard that before. That's fantastic.
I don't know where I heard the story even. And I don't know if it's apocryphal, but it is a great thought,
Yeah.
Because, how many gun owners would say, no, I'm not going to do that, and then send their children off to public schools. And well, if you send your children to Caesar to be educated, don't be surprised when they return as Romans.
Amen to that. And that's a great analogy. Is that right?
It's not an analogy. I
think. A simile? Metaphor?
No, a simile
metaphor?
Is like a metaphor.
Probably.
It's similar to a
simile. In order to be a simile, it has to use the word like or as. That's
Hence,
the textbook
like a metaphor.
definition.
So everybody from California is always like doing similes?
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna, like, why weren't you there? Like, I don't know. Like, I just
my
flaked.
God.
Right? No, I'm just kidding.
That's a pet peeve of mine when people use the word like so many times.
That's like a pet peeve of yours?
Oh,
wow. That like
that's a bit
all
different,
the time.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, this is actually from RT.com. Thank you, Richie Rich, for providing this. Humanity should sacrifice personal freedom, just as many nations did during the COVID-19 pandemic, in order to successfully fight climate change.
Just washed your lips and you can't do a thing with them?
That's right. A German MP has said, adding that there will never be a vaccine against CO2.
Which is good because CO2 will not make you sick. As a matter of fact, you need it. If you don't have enough CO2, you have problems breathing. That's why when people hyperventilate, they have to breathe into a paper bag for a while. They need the CO2.
Yeah, well, and we expel CO2 as a natural part of
That's because it
being
misbehaves in class. We have to expel it.
but it's also what the vegetation inhales, if you will.
Yes, it's plant food.
Right. Whereas what they expel is what we inhale.
The funny thing that surprised...
Very symbiotic relationship there.
Yeah, the thing that surprised a lot of people, and I thought was kind of obvious, is that as CO2 gets higher, plants grow more, and then the CO2 comes out of the atmosphere because the plants are eating it.
So if you're a tree hugger, you should love CO2 then, shouldn't you?
Oh, interesting. One would think so.
It's true. Well,
Never thought of that
the
before.
thing about environmentalists is they are locked on to this idea that like one state of the world was good and any deviation from that state is bad. But if you look at the history of the Earth, it's been in constant flux.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
the thing that would be most unnatural would be for the Earth to freeze like it is and stay this way forever.
Right, yeah. I mean, the climate has been changing as long as the Earth has been around, near as we can tell, and long before humans had really anything to do with it.
Yeah.
You know, to say that humans even have anything to do with it, I don't know. It might, I'm not that kind of a scientist. I've not studied those things myself, but I'm with George Carlin when he says when the Earth is done with human beings, he's going to shake us off like a bad case of fleas.
There you go.
The hubris of us to think otherwise, I think, is, well, it's dumb. We've got more Free Talk Live coming up for you. 603-283-6160.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Coinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Coinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Coinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Yes, it is. Free Talk Live. Welcome back to the program, everybody. Our phone number, if you'd like to join the conversation, is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
The dumpster.
And nobody.
And we've been talking about all sorts of things already. We started trying to talk about this bit from Germany where an MP suggests restrictions similar to COVID-19 lockdowns to fight climate change. And I was my point that I was trying to make before we got sidetracked was, the government never gives power back once it takes it away. And we've seen repeatedly, we've covered it here on this show, just in the time that I've been on this show, where government takes something away, or if the government in some other place does a thing, other governments soon follow suit.
They get jealous.
They do, and they're
like, what? You beat your peasants, we can't beat ours. How is that fair?
Right.
Where did we get all our ideas from about this to begin with? We got it from Wuhan, China.
Right, because
all of them.
Yes, yeah, because they went ahead and literally locked down. Mm-hmm. They were boarding people inside of buildings.
Yeah. They're actually right now. They've just decided to jail one of the people who had the temerity to report on what was going on there for 4 years. They just finished a show trial for her. They like to do those between Christmas and New Year, because Americans aren't paying attention.
Right. Wait, by they you mean China?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, so I figure that if somebody in Germany is mentioning, hey, these lockdowns are such a good idea for COVID-19, let's use them to help us, battle climate change, that it's only a matter of time before we see that happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Only a matter of time.
Sadly.
They've already suggested killing off 20% of the human race. So
I had a ton of people earlier this year on my Facebook friend list bragging about how the lockdown has brought dolphins back into Venice, and the water's turned clear again, and finally pollution's gone away.
Well, I'll be happy when those dolphins are out of Venice and the humans are back.
How about the many, many tons of face masks and plastics from them that will be polluting the earth?
Yeah, I didn't see them share anything about that.
Yeah, I saw an article on that recently.
The Earth is just a ball of rock. It doesn't care what's on it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, the hubris of humanity to think that we could do something to affect the earth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just an update of an earlier theme. To prosper is sin. And what happens if you sin? You will burn in the eternal fires of global warming.
Yeah.
I thought we'll all be underwater, though. Wouldn't that, keep us cool?
Yeah. I don't know where they're going to find enough water to make that happen, but keep me posted.
The Earth is mostly water. It shouldn't be too hard.
Well, 2/3 of the surface area is water, but that's already there.
Okay. So going on, Germany had barely started its coronavirus vaccination campaign when Social Democratic MP Karl Lauterbach warned that
Lauterbach.
Lauterbach.
Oh, okay. It's not louder.
Not louder.
I thought he was just a Lauterbach.
Yeah, it's not. It's not like Beethoven's like, louder, Bach, louder. I can't hear you.
Well, Beethoven couldn't. He was deaf.
Hey, what's brown and sits on a piano bench? Beethoven's first movement.
Ah, wow, isn't that special? Why isn't Beethoven write any music anymore?
Is he dead?
He's decomposing.
So this Democratic MP, Karl Lauterbach, warned that his compatriots need to brace themselves for yet another challenge: global warming.
I think what we should do is we should solve the problem of global warming by first and foremost killing off the most useless and most highly consuming people on the face of the earth. And I'm talking, of course, about politicians. I realize this is a hard pill to swallow, but I'm willing to make that sacrifice in order to make the earth a better place.
It's mighty big of you.
Yes. Well, they're always sacrificing my life for me because they're such wonderful people. So I think that I should return the favor and sacrifice their life for them.
Oh yeah, we were talking about like where did terrorism go, right? Where did public shootings go, right? They're gone. They don't exist anymore.
Well, where are you going to find anybody?
Just like that. Well, you can still find plenty of people at things like government facilities.
Yeah, but the government doesn't want to set up shootings at government facilities unless there are innocent civilians there, like school children.
I mean, I'm just spitballing here, but like the DMV, right? Department of Motor Vehicles, everybody's still got to like renew their frickin' driver's license or get their new, license plates.
Why? Where are they going to go?
Well, that's true. That's true. But if you don't, you risk being pulled over by the road pirates.
Not if you never leave the house.
I suppose.
See, this lockdown solve a lot of problems.
He goes on, quote, "We need measures to deal with climate change that are similar to the restrictions on personal freedom imposed to combat the pandemic." How do you jump from lockdown for the pandemic to lockdown for climate change? I don't understand how you jump from one to the other. The professor...
I've got power to really mess up people's lives, and I enjoy doing that, so I don't want to give it up. I don't know. I'm just spitballing what he might be thinking.
The professor of health economics and epidemiology at the University of Cologne.
Oh, and he's a professor too.
Wrote
Isn't
in a
that special?
Guest piece for Die Wheat newspaper. I'm probably mispronouncing that.
Die Wheat Die.
What's he got against wheat?
I think that's.
I hate wheat.
Divite. Yeah. He added that he hoped climate change issues would play a dominant role during the upcoming election campaign ahead of the federal ballot scheduled for September 2021.
On a serious note, I read a few weeks ago that all the lockdowns that have already taken place, there hasn't been any significant impact on CO2 levels. In fact, they might even have gone up because people are keeping their heat and their air conditioning higher than in the office.
Right.
So,
right, because the individuals are heating their houses more often, more frequently because they're staying home than they would had they actually gone to work.
So this doesn't make any sense.
Don't people want their cats to be warm?
Cats have fur, dude.
I guess they do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't leave my house cold if my dog was going to be there. Although dogs have fur too.
Yeah, I mean, you can leave it colder than you can if you're like leaving a child or something, Although you probably shouldn't be leaving a child alone at home unless they're old enough to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
603-283-6160 is our number if you'd like to join us. We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
Moose is the German Shepherd, now 11, and he's been an amazing dog. Moose is so active and so alert and hasn't had any kind of health problems at all. He has a beautiful coat, and at 11, he'll still run and chase the ball. He has been on Dynavite since he's a puppy.
Dynavite for life. because if they're getting all their vitamins, micronutrients, microbials from the beginning, then you're not going to run into the problems associated with the grass, pollen, dust, dirt, fleas, ticks, you name it, and the itching and shedding down the road. DINOVITE.com.
We tell anybody that has a dog, if there was something that you could do right from the beginning so that you don't have expensive veterinary bills, why would you not do it? Get the Dinovite.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dinovite from DINOVITE.com.
Email is easy, instant, and free, and that can be real embarrassing. Email lacks the eye contact and body language you get in face-to-face conversation, or the tone of voice and other nuance you hear in a telephone conversation. Email is just words, often few words. We're all smothering in spam, so we often reply in terse fashion that's easy to misunderstand. And email doesn't cost you a postage stamp, and it lacks the deliberation time it'd take to walk to the snail mail box, so it's easy to succumb to the "oh yeah" stimulus response trap. When in doubt, don't snap back at snippy messages you get. You may have mistaken the sender's intent. And unless you're sending AOL to AOL, there's no unsend. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
The first point is it's legal, and that's important. Now, my question to you would be, they gassed Jews legally in Germany. Was that a good law?
Well, I don't know. I don't live in Germany.
Come on.
You don't know?
You don't know whether it was a good idea to gas Jews? You don't know whether it was a good idea to incarcerate Japanese Americans during World War II?
What does that have to do with them crossing the borders of the United States
I'm
of
making
America?
a point, and I'm drawing a parallel, and it's a clear parallel, and you're dodging it. Do good people disobey bad laws, Buck?
No.
Good people do not disobey bad laws?
Criminals dodge the law.
Buck, wait a second. What if they outlawed guns in your state? Would you turn yours in, Buck?
Oh, absolutely, in a minute.
You would? Well, I'm sorry. You're a fascist. Bye.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. Live video of our key New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
Yeah, it is Free Talk Live, the Monday night edition. Our telephone number here is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
The dumpster.
And nobody. And just to clarify, somebody asked during the break whether I actually believed that the government set up shootings. And I will say that I do know for a fact that they murder children because they drop bombs on villages full of them all the time. So I wouldn't put it past them.
Indeed.
There you go.
Indeed. And I wanted to tell you all that Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there now and click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized by your needs. I need to get an actual cornucopia so I can just hold that up to the cameras while I'm saying cornucopia. I like the word cornucopia, too. It really rolls nicely. Anyway, there's no longer an excuse for ignorance of this important world-changing information. If you are a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com, where you can get the latest headlines of all the news relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. Visit Bitcoin.com. So, where were we?
Keene.
We were in
New Hampshire. Home of the Free State Project.
Well, is Keene the home of the Free State?
Well, no, New Hampshire is home of the Free State Project. But
Keene
you can't be in all
Club.
of New Hampshire at the same time. You have to be in a particular part of it unless you're very, very large.
You can't be state omnipotent?
Okay. No, you can't be omnipotent. You can try.
Can you try?
You can try.
So Keene and Manchester is where it's biggest, right?
Manchester is the largest city in New Hampshire. Correct me if I'm wrong.
The Queen City is what they call the largest city in a given state if it is not the capital.
Is that what? I thought it was just the city where the rock band Queen toured most.
No, that's actually a misnomer. It's also not the city with the most gay people, although quite possibly in the case of New Hampshire, it is.
Understood. Seattle might also be that for the state of Washington.
Quite possibly.
Indeed.
The Queen City?
Yeah.
Cincinnati is called the Queen City, and I think it's second biggest. No, I think it's the third biggest in Ohio.
Weird.
Maybe it was the biggest when they started calling it that. These things change over time, and nicknames don't always.
You learn something new every day.
It's true.
I try not to, but sometimes I do.
Usually it's something I didn't want to know.
So anyway, this article from RT talks about Germany, an MP in Germany, suggesting similar lockdown restrictions to COVID-19 to fight climate change.
We need to bring back that Nuremberg thing. That worked really well for keeping the German government in check for a while there. Just start hanging them once in a while and they'll stop with all this nonsense.
I was, I don't know if the word enthused is correct. My heart was slightly warmed when, because, the Congress bastards signed this stimulus package bill. It's supposed to be a COVID relief bill, and of course they're giving $600.
I don't need COVID relief. I need government relief.
Yeah, they're giving $600 to people and hundreds of billions of dollars to foreign countries.
Yes, so that all of your money will cease to be of value.
I'm just shocked how that's not irritating people all across the country.
When this was announced and people started analyzing the 5,000 pages that were in the bill that nobody bothered to read because they didn't have time, and people spoke out against and signed it anyway, and then
we have to pass the bill without reading it. It's essential. How do you know you didn't read it?
Right. So when the analyses started coming out on the social media, my heart was warmed slightly in that I started seeing, and I even reposted one, memes about what you could buy with your $600. And one of the nice things that you could buy was a nice guillotine. I
thought they cost $1,200.
Well, plans to buy the materials from Home Depot to buy.
Oh, okay. So this is a poor man's guillotine, because you could get a whole nice guillotine built for you for the $1,200 they gave us the first time. And I was ready to do it.
Maybe you and another person could put your individual $600, COVID relief bucks together. Mm-hmm. And that would make $1,200.
So are they giving? How much are they giving away to the connected people as part of this? Is it $3 trillion again?
Oh, it's like $700 billion or something like that.
That's it?
Well, that's a lot
for the connected people, though.
Well, I assume that they're all connected. Right?
No. The connected people are the people in the club. The people, not us.
Yeah.
The corporate CEOs, the billionaires, the people that matter.
So, yes, lots of corporations and some nonprofit companies are getting boatloads of money for reasons that they don't understand. I don't understand. Nobody seems to understand. Nobody can explain it. When Congress is asked about it, they're like, "Whoa, we don't know." It's like, well, why did you sign it? Congress didn't even write the damn thing. Nobody's talking about who wrote it.
It was Mnuchin and Pelosi who wrote it, right? And McConnell in there too.
They didn't write it themselves, right?
The corporations did it for them, probably.
Who did? That seems to be a mystery.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's lots of money is going to the connected, but it's going in ways that are indirect.
Well, it has to be indirect. You can't just say, "Oh, and all of my campaign donors get $1 million each," because they donated 10,000, and it sounds like that's not profitable, but it's okay because I'm giving away your money, not mine.
I don't know that I have anything in show prep for that particular topic, but I have been paying attention to it vaguely. I know that the Trumpanzee in charge, or the Trumpster, the Trumpmeister, he's been pardoning everybody except people who really deserve it.
Yeah, how about who else did he pardon? Just the
some Blackwater people, like.
Okay, well, I know that one group. Was there anybody else, or?
Let's find out.
Are you just using a very small definition of everybody?
Well, what I'm really trying to get at is he's not pardoning Ross Ulbricht, for example.
Yeah, Ross would be a good star. Julian Assange, Chelsea Manning.
Yep.
What's the other guy's name? Snowden.
Snowden. Yep.
Where are the Snowdens of yesteryear? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Which is a line from Catch-22. If you haven't read it, do.
Catch-22, the movie? Or the book?
Well, I was suggesting that you should read the book because reading the movie is difficult. But you could read the movie if you can.
You got
read
captions.
the movie.
Closed captioning, bro. I use it all the time.
That's true. That's true.
I learned to use closed captioning living in an apartment, right? Because sometimes you don't want to be, or your apartment's got thin walls and you don't want to be bothering your neighbors. When it's late at night, you want to watch a movie.
But is porn really interesting with closed captions?
Sometimes.
Okay.
If you can read a foreign language, anyway. No, apparently my show prep only calls out Trump for pardoning these Blackwater bastards.
Yeah.
Who are guilty as, well, I assume, allegedly guilty.
Well, they're guilty of. I'm quite sure they are guilty. It's not the My Lai massacre, but the thing is the thing that annoys me about that kind of prosecution is it indicates that we didn't expect this to happen when we declared war, but atrocities are the constant companion of wars, and we should expect atrocities every time we declare one.
One person in our chat room says, being everywhere at once is omnipresent, not omnipotent, and all-seeing would be omniscient, or all-knowing. Thank you, Gary, for the clarification. We've got more Free Talk Live coming up for you.
All-seeing would be all-voyant.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to mymagicmud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. mymagicmud.com, FTL20.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Welcome back to the program. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. This is Free Talk Live. Our phone number here is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. If you would like to join in the conversation, we'll get to your calls and thoughts momentarily. Joining me in the studio tonight, it's
the Domster
and nobody.
And of course, I am your host, the Lord Reverend Captain Kickass. I was hoping to have another title this year when one of our other co-hosts, Arya, ran for sheriff of the county that we happen to be in, so that I could be Deputy Lord Reverend Captain Kickass. But alas, that did not occur, despite her nationwide publicity. So, I'll just stick with,
well,
Captain's
there's
fine.
Always next year.
Captain's fine. So let's do what we like to do here on Free Talk Live and go to some of your calls and thoughts. We have Dan calling from Nebraska. Dan, you are on Free Talk Live.
Hey, you guys. I guess I just wanted to call in because I heard you guys talking about the pardons the last segment, and talk about the people who you think should be pardoned.
Yes.
I actually.
Do you know who's been pardoned already? Because the only ones I'm aware of are the Blackwater dudes.
Oh, pardon me.
Yeah. Well, hold. I didn't want to talk about them as much as I want to talk about the other people that you mentioned who you'd like to have pardoned.
Okay, so I think we said Snowden, we said Assange, and we said Ross Ulbricht. If I'm
Chelsea Manning.
Oh,
also.
Chelsea Manning, right?
Right. I think, I guess in my opinion, I mean, I don't usually agree with Free Talk Live, but I'm actually sympathetic to the idea of having them pardoned. My only idea is that there have to be some serious stipulations with some of them, especially like Snowden, who I think that it would be pretty reasonable to make him, one, turn over everything he ever had, two, tell us whatever he gave out, which we know that he knows what he gave out, and
isn't what he gave out what he already told us? I mean, you could just read what he already said without asking him to write it all down again.
Well, look, I remember at the time there was a big debate, I guess at the time there was a bigger debate over whether or not we could trust that he was telling us everything he had because we thought that he might have more. And so I think that it would be fair to put a stipulation on a pardon for him on that, basically he's got to come clean and give us everything back. But then I would say that what he's done other than that, he should be pardoned for.
Would that be in the public interest or the government interest for him to do that?
It is 100% in the public interest to do that, because the public needs to be safe from other countries who would only use want this data so that they can exploit us.
Well, if we want to be safe from other countries, the best way to do that is, first off, we should stop bombing other countries all the time, because that irritates people. Oddly enough, people get very petty about having bombs dropped on them, and they want to fight back when you do that. So not attacking the rest of the world would probably be the best step we could make toward actually having some
bombings,
peace.
When we do the quote-unquote bombings you're talking about, they're for strategic reasons.
Well, then it's okay. I murdered you for a strategic reason. You shouldn't be mad.
Some of the bombing... Well, here's the deal. In the places that are very unfortunately war-torn, who would you rather have influencing it? Us? Russia? Iran? I mean, it's going to be somebody.
Russia or Iran would be my choice, because then I don't have to pay for it.
You seriously think that we should just let hostile powers, hostile rogue nations, who have an interest in spreading their ideology and making political
You
deals
do realize that the rest
bloc
of the
against
world
America.
sees us as a hostile rogue nation that's spreading its ideology.
Right.
How do we differ exactly from them?
How do we differ from them?
Yes.
How about the fact that for starters, we are involved in multinational treaties and courts and other ways that the United States as an entity can arbitrate and make things right and make negotiations with other countries.
Okay, you do know that the United States is the only country in the world, I believe, whose military officers cannot be called into the world court due to war crimes, because the military, because the United States says that its people should not be held accountable for war crimes. Everybody else's people should be. I mean,
that's a shame. I would agree with you. That's a shame.
And now it is true that we're involved in many world bodies, but then again, China is on the Human Rights Council last I saw. When they can find the time to attend meeting between disemboweling Muslims to sell their organs to Saudi Arabian princes.
Why don't we just invade every country that doesn't have our quote-unquote our values?
Well, I see. That's the thing, is we don't have one set of my values. My set of values say you can be as big a jerk as you want to in your country, and I'm not going to invade you. But if you come here and you're jerk here, then I might do you some harm.
Well, no, here's the thing. It's like not every country, though, is in the middle of a hot war and where the future of that country and the region is going to be in the hands of whoever wins, be it us or somebody else. And I don't understand why. And at a time when we're afraid of places like Russia and China consolidating power, we would say something like, oh, why not let Syria, which we know that they're critical for the Russian economy, okay? Why would we just give it to them? All right? Why would we let them have influence there where they shouldn't, okay?
Why should we have influence there is my question. More importantly, why should I pay for influence there? You know, because frankly, I'm not scared of the Russian government or the Chinese government. I'm scared of the United States government because that's the only one that harms me.
You absolutely benefit, though, from us doing these things. You know, our number one, the dollar you use every day is strengthened and protected by these bombings.
Okay, the only thing I do for the dollar, which, by the way, the bombings aren't working very well because in the last 100 years it's lost 96% of its value, and that's actually outdated. It's still falling. But no, the only thing I do with dollars is I yeet them as fast as I can because I don't want blood money.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I can't think of any.
Even the Bitcoin, even the strength of your Bitcoins and stuff are dependent on the dollar because
that's not true.
Those could not be a standalone currency. All right, they wouldn't be a standalone.
They already
currency.
are.
Sure, they could.
They already are.
I'm sorry, but they piggyback off of the dollar as far as the value they have.
They do not.
Oh, okay. Well, no, let's
just as every other currency in the world does.
Okay, now how exactly does this work? In order for Bitcoin to have value, somehow the dollar has to have value? How exactly do the economics of that work?
Well, I'll tell you how they work. Because people are choosing to trade their United States dollars for Bitcoin, mostly because they see it as a function of some type of like value holding thing. They're not using it as money. And if there wasn't the pipeline of dollars going in and out of Bitcoin, it wouldn't be worth nearly as much.
I used Bitcoin to buy my dinner last night.
Yeah, I mean, you can trade Bitcoin for stuff, and you can trade stuff for Bitcoin. So it's
I bought a 12-pack of beer for Bitcoin today.
But how do you know the price of what things would be set without the dollar? You wouldn't. That's another way that the Bitcoin relies on the dollar.
It would just be 0.000082 Bitcoin instead of $20 or whatever.
You can set the prices in anything you like. You can set them in silver. You can set them in gold. You can set them in dollars. You can set them in Bitcoin. It doesn't matter.
What do you think would happen if everyone sold off all their dollars? Do you honestly think that Bitcoin wouldn't have any value because it's based on the dollar?
It would have some, but if dollars were to go away, it would probably become dependent in the same way off of other currencies in the world. And instead of just having one reserve currency, there would probably just be multiple, then upper tier competing currencies, but not one which is the polar force of the United States dollar that holds, that holds basically this understanding.
Thanks for the call tonight. We appreciate it.
The dollar mostly has value because if you trade something else for oil, the government will murder you.
More Free Talk Live coming up.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Stamps.com brings the post office and UPS shipping right to your computer. Go to Stamps.com to start a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale with promo code FOX. That's Stamps.com. Click on the microphone at the top of the page and type in FOX.
The House votes to hike relief payments. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. Voting within the last hour to approve a bill increasing the stimulus relief payments to $2,000.
The vote on those COVID stimulus checks, 275 in favor to 134 against. The politics of it, fascinating, with President Trump and top congressional Democrats all pushing to get this done. To this point, Senate Republicans appear to be what could hold Americans back from getting more help.
Fox's Mike Emanuel. Senate Democrat leader Chuck Schumer says he'll push for a quick Senate approval of the bill tomorrow, earlier telling reporters,
I am telling Donald Trump, don't just talk about it, act. These Senate Republicans have followed you through thick and thin. Get them now to act and support the $2,000 checks.
Some Senate Republicans are concerned the payments are too expensive and not targeted and could result in payments to people who've not been financially harmed by the coronavirus outbreak. The House is also voting tonight on an attempt to override the president's veto last week of the Defense Authorization Act. They have secured enough yes votes. Investigators say the man responsible for the Christmas Day bombing in Nashville was 63-year-old Anthony Quinn Warner. DNA confirming body parts found in the rubble are his. As to why,
we'll be spending a lot of time, as we already have been, talking to a lot of people, trying to piece together a possible motive. It is difficult at this point. If we'll ever be able to specifically lock in on what that motive is, will be dependent on the information.
David Rausch of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation on Fox's The Daily Briefing. A Columbus, Ohio police officer who shot and killed a black man last week has been fired. Adam Coy also failed to render aid to Andre Hill after shooting him. Hill was unarmed. America is listening to Fox News.
This holiday season, more people will be mailing stuff than ever before. Stamps.com brings the post office and now UPS shipping right to your computer so you can mail and ship anything from the convenience of your home or office. With Stamps.com, you can print postage on demand and save money with deep discounts you can't even get at the post office. Like 5 cents off every stamp, up to 40% off priority mail, and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Print official stamps and labels right from your computer for any letter, package, or class of mail, anywhere you want to send. Once your mail's ready, schedule a pickup or drop it off. It's a no-brainer. Don't spend a minute of this holiday season at the post office. Right now, listeners get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale with no long-term commitment. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in Fox. Stamps.com. Enter Fox. Go right now to Stamps.com. Enter Fox.
The next administration says there's work to be done on national security.
The president-elect said a review of the agencies tasked with national security shows, as he put it, damage from the Trump administration.
Many of them have been hollowed out in personnel, capacity, and in morale.
He says alliances have to be rebuilt in a world
that has begun to find ways to work around us or work without us.
Biden says pandemics, climate change, cyber hacks, and other issues can't be tackled without cooperation. Biden called resistance from current defense and budget leaders a sign of irresponsibility. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Homicides in Detroit, New York.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
The NFL announces a new zero-tolerance policy on videotaped domestic violence. A puzzled nation can remember the name Ferguson, but is not sure from where. And a man wearing an M&M jacket is apparently made in God's image. This is the Onion Week in Review. Tech giant Apple unveiled a brief, fleeting moment of excitement to the general public. The short-lived, ephemeral sense of wonder was released in front of an exclusive group of reporters and industry insiders at Apple's Silicon Valley headquarters.
Apple really made us wait, but this rapidly diminishing glimmer of pleasure was totally worth it. It was 100% better than any other temporary joys I've ever experienced.
And in this week's local news, an uneasy détente forms between a man sitting on a patio and a bee. In other news, a poll finds 80% of Americans would get in a vehicle with a stranger for a chance at a new life. Bank of America introduces a new $50 underdraft fee, and the nation's huggers announce plans for you to get over here.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. We're back. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Our number here is 603-283-6160. Again, you can dial in at 603-283-6160. Talk about anything you like. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
The Domster.
And nobody.
Speaking of the Domster, we haven't really properly introduced you. Somebody in the chat room asked, who is the new soy boy in the third chair? And I said, he calls himself the Domster. I feel like that's an insult to you because, I've talked with you for a couple of days now, but you know how it is. You got to have a thick skin if you're on the radio, right?
Yeah. It comes from college. That nickname.
All right. So, Domster, you are here visiting.
Yeah. After the election, I was really irritated that, what happened. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to move to New Hampshire. So I want to go and visit. And I booked tickets right away to come. So I've been here for a few days, checking it out, to see what it's like here.
Nice. Now, you don't have to reveal any information you don't want to. Do you mind, telling folks like whereabouts you came from and that kind of a thing?
Yeah, I'm from Kentucky.
Okay, cool.
The northern Kentucky area. A bit different from the rest of Kentucky, but you would think Kentucky is a very liberty-leaning state. We picked Rand Paul and Thomas Massey.
Yeah.
But
I would think Kentucky's a big gun state as well, right?
Yeah, it's a big gun state. The thing is, though...
How big are they?
Oh, pretty big.
Okay.
People in Kentucky seem to worship the police. You see those American flags with the blue stripe around them.
So Republicans.
Yeah. So they're not as, limited government as you would think they are.
Yeah, that seems to be the story with Republicans in general. They sound very anti-government when they're not in power, And then when they're in power, they're
very pro-government.
Love the government.
Yeah.
So, Donster, do you consider yourself, a libertarian, an anarchist, individual? Like what?
I'm a small L libertarian.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How did you become one?
I became interested in the ideas of liberty in high school.
Okay.
I think I was actually in the drama department. I was in a few musicals, and everyone there was, incredible. They were social justice warriors, and I knew
Why
that.
is everybody a social justice warrior? Couldn't we have a social justice wizard or a social justice thief
or a social justice elf?
That'd be different. Ben Swan, I don't know if you know him.
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to be a local TV host and for Fox 19.
Okay.
I love that guy.
His reality check segments that he did really turned me against the foreign policy of this country. I think that was the big thing. And then I started learning about how the drug war is just an absolute failure. And I can't stand police I love to drive. I love cars. I hate that feeling when you're on the road that you have to be terrified of the police because they're out to extort money.
Yeah, whenever
from
one
you.
drives behind you, like everybody universally is like, you tend to, even if you're doing absolutely nothing wrong.
Your heart skips a beat.
Yeah, you're like, oh God, I hope I don't go pulled over now. I'm already late for whatever, right? Yeah.
So I think that's what turned me to liberty. I was in Young Americans for Liberty at Bowling Green State University, and I met a guy, and he actually introduced me to Free Talk Live. Tony DeMott. I don't know if you're listening.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I was involved with Campaign for Liberty.
Okay.
And then over in the UK, I lived there for a while. I helped out with a local MP's campaign to get Brexit done.
Oh, okay.
Brexit was a really big thing for me as well. So,
nice.
Yeah, multiple things got me into liberty.
Nice. There is something here known as NH-Exit, which is a secession movement as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've looked into that at all, but we can give you some...
I've heard you guys talk about it.
We can give you some information on that before you go. Okay, so, you're liberty-minded. You heard about the migration to New Hampshire, the Free State Project?
Free State Project,
Okay, all right. How did you find out about those guys?
I found out about it through my friend from Young Americans for Liberty.
Okay.
And I actually invited him to come down here, or come over here, rather. But he's not convinced it's actually libertarian. And
maybe you should come and find out.
Yeah,
the climate too. I don't know if you're watching right now.
Oh my gosh, no! There's so many people that when you start talking about freedom and liberty, and they're like, oh yeah, and they get all excited. Well, yeah, I'd love. That's a great idea. We should.
Yeah.
And you go, well, we're already doing it in New Hampshire. Oh, it's too cold.
Yeah.
Like really, really, you big frickin' wussies.
Learn to ski.
Like, oh my gosh, man.
The thing is, there's a connection there. One of the reasons that we're here is because of low population. Well, one thing that you don't have where it's warm is low population. As a matter of fact, you have very, very high population. So, it's not like they're orthogonal.
Ooh, you're going to have to define orthogonal now.
Orthogonal are two things that are not dependent on each other. For example, the x-axis and the y-axis, when you draw a graph, are orthogonal.
This concludes our lesson with Dr. Nobody.
Indeed.
PhD.
If you want to know more, nobody can help you.
So something I wanted to say about
Yes.
New Hampshire, first impression. I had family that used to live in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Really left wing.
We pronounce it Massachusetts around here, so just so you know. Yeah.
So I know that, a rich elitist, pro big government status feeling.
Yeah.
And I kind of get that vibe in New Hampshire. Maybe because I see so many Massachusetts and Vermont car license plates.
Yeah.
But I get that vibe. But I've read a lot about New Hampshire, and on paper, I know it's libertarian. It just doesn't feel libertarian.
Well, I can identify with that, and to an extent, there are many libertarians here, but the the laws, right? The number of laws, and particularly the lack of taxation, except for property tax, right?
Mhm.
Property taxes.
That's extortionate, right? In New Hampshire?
Well, it is, yeah. I mean, it's extortion everywhere,
the
really.
property taxes are definitely high, and all taxation is extortionate because taxation is itself extortion.
Right.
But although we do have high property taxes here, that it's basically the only tax we have. We don't have a sales tax. We don't have an income tax. So it's it evens out.
There's a little bit of a tax on like food items, like the drive-through and that kind of thing.
Yeah, specifically restaurant meals.
Right. But like outside of that, the rest, and the cost of living here is super low, at least compared to big cities.
Right.
I spent 22 years in Seattle before I moved here, and I was like, it costs how much? I could get two. That's awesome.
Splurge a little.
Yeah. Beer was essentially half price when I go to the bars and that kind of thing. So for me, it was a bonus. Also, the price of land and housing here, far cheaper by orders of magnitude than anywhere in Western Washington by a long shot. So
I've heard a lot about that. People can't afford to buy homes out there.
Right. Yeah. I certainly couldn't out there, but when I got here, all of a sudden I could, and so I did. So I do own property here now. So it doesn't feel libertarian, and of course it doesn't, because it's a state still, and it's still very statist, and it's got all the statist trimmings that come with it, like a governor who thinks he's king, who passes he writes words
His
on paper.
Excellency, right?
He refers to himself literally
Excellent.
as His Excellency. He writes words down on pieces of paper and expects people to obey. So there's all of that. There are police here. But
I saw a ton of police on the road today.
Yeah,
a ton of them.
You'll see them on the highways and freeways setting up their speed traps and all that fun stuff. So.
It goes from 60 to 45 in a matter,
Revenue generators, my friend. Revenue generators.
Road pirates.
We'll talk more about the Domsters experience here in New Hampshire on Free Talk Live. Our our number here is 603-283-6160. More coming up.
Freedom! Freedom is the call of the untamed Scotsman and all others that want to feel the wind under their kilts.
At Free Talk Live, we love the breezy, swinging feeling that only a kilt from Sport Kilt can give.
We teamed up with Sport Kilt to let you experience their form of freedom at a discount. Go to kilts.freetalklive.com and see a picture of Richie and me in our kilts.
And then head over to sportkilt.com. Get some stylish freedom for yourself and use code FTL for a 10% discount. Sportkilt.com.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. D-I-V-I Project.org.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Welcome back to the program, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Our number here is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
The Domster.
And nobody.
Now, you've heard us talk about Divvy here on Free Talk Live, and maybe you've wanted to set up one of their easy-to-deploy masternodes or stake Divvy so that you can begin earning Divvy right now. Ian says setting up Divvy Masternode was easy and staking was even easier. Now, we're not investment advisors here on Free Talk Live, but we think you will be impressed with your earning potential with Divvy as compared to traditional investment vehicles. Go to divvyproject.org and get started. You can buy Divvy at several exchanges or directly from the Divvy team. If you need help, there's a link to their Telegram channel right on the front page at divvyproject.org. That's DIVI project.org. All right, so we've been talking to the Domster here, who's visiting from out of town. He's checking out the Liberty scene, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't have a better phrase for it than that. And you were talking about how it didn't really feel libertarian being in the state of New Hampshire, and I can agree with you. What does feel libertarian, though, is when you get together with a bunch of other libertarians that are from the area and in the area.
And pay with Bitcoin.
And pay with Bitcoin. And you know, converse about all the usual topics and that kind of a thing. That's when New Hampshire feels very liberty-oriented, when it feels like there is merit to the freedom movement, is when all the people get together. Otherwise, you know, in your day-to-day lives, people got jobs and go to work, and you'll see the speed traps where the goons are collecting revenue and all that fun stuff. And, you know, it's a little more small townish around here than it is, you know, in the big city, even in Manchester to some extent. That's the largest city here in the state, but it still seems small, you know, compared to other states and their largest cities anyway.
The speed limits are really low on the highway. I'm surprised.
Yeah, they seem there, but there's no seatbelt law.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why.
I would prefer to speed, though. I would take a higher, or like the German Autobahn, for instance, you know? I'd take that over a speed limit law if I had to choose between the two.
This area is rather mountainous. Not mountainous, you know, compared to, say, Western Washington, but there are, windy roads and lots of inclines and declines and that kind of
moose.
thing.
I've seen signs about moose.
Yeah, moose you got to watch out for the moose crossing.
Moose.
Yeah, and deer too, of course.
Moose will mess up your whole day.
There's a very rural vibe about New Hampshire in general. So, what other impressions have you had?
Yeah, well, today I did something that you might not think is actually very libertarian. I went to get ready for it. I went to go and visit where Bretton Woods happened.
Okay.
I don't think visiting that place is necessarily a bad thing to do.
I mean, you could argue, would you say that way was better than it is now, where it was at least tied to the gold standard, kind of getting into economics here?
I mean, the Bretton Woods Agreement was I mean, it wasn't particularly meaningful for people because only foreign banks were able to trade in gold were able to trade dollars for gold or gold for dollars. It was still illegal for U.S. citizens to have to even own gold.
Really?
Yeah, it was against the law. That started during FDR's term, and
I know that,
you were subject to a $10,000 fine or 10 years in prison if you were caught owning bullion.
That is without a doubt authoritarian, but people worship FDR. I know a ton of people who regard him as one of the best presidents.
Yeah,
that's terrible.
Well, FDR was I mean, he was a damn communist. Compared to anybody sane. He was awful.
Most of the people who refer to FDR as what you're saying, unless they're, I don't know, 70 years old or something. I mean, they weren't even alive for when FDR was the president. So
my dad thinks he was one of the greatest presidents in history. My dad actually grew up under FDR.
Right. And so I'll have more respect for a person who grew up under that, who lived it, than somebody who, read the history books and goes, oh no, he was
him.
Yeah. Oh no, they're romanticizing history is what they're doing.
Well, my late grandma, I remember hearing her say that she thought that he was trying to become a dictator.
Well, I mean, he pretty much was a dictator in a lot of ways. He was one of the reasons that the Depression lasted so long is because he was so unpredictable. He was always coming up with his crack-brained schemes to I know, I'll just do this and it'll fix the economy. And so everybody was terrified to invent because, he was going to do some nutty thing the next day that would completely change the economy.
Yeah, for our listeners out there, the economy, quote unquote, here's what it is. It's just exchange between people. That's it. It's all the economy is. There's nothing magic. I mean, there is lots of magic about it, but you don't have to be a mathematician. You don't have to be a historian. You don't have to understand, high finance and, be a Wall Street banker and all that kind of stuff to understand what the economy is and what it does. No, it's just exchange between people. It's barter. It's buying and selling. It's trading of goods and services between people. That's all that it is.
Indeed.
And you don't have to force people at gunpoint to do things that meet their needs. You have to force people at gunpoint to do things that harm them. So if you're forcing people to do things at gunpoint, their lives are going to be worse than if you weren't.
Agreed. So you visited the place for the Bretton Woods. What else?
Yeah, I was going to visit Grafton, but I drove in the middle through a pretty bad snowstorm, and I got to admit I was kind of scared because I didn't know how bad it would.
Why did you choose Grafton? I think I know, but tell me.
It's probably the reason you're thinking.
You tell me.
Well, I heard about that book from a caller on this show about a libertarian walks into a bear. And I've read about the supposed things that they have accomplished in Grafton.
Yeah.
I know I heard Ian say he refutes the fact that they've accomplished much in Grafton, but I wanted to go and see the town anyway.
Sure.
Well, I mean, I think they've accomplished a lot up there. I think we've accomplished a lot everywhere in New Hampshire. Ian's very much a keen partisan. But what they haven't managed to do in Grafton is make bears an issue. I lived there for quite a while. We did not have bear attacks in Grafton. I've never heard of a bear attack in Grafton. The only reference I've ever heard to bears in Grafton was this book.
It's a load of nonsense, I guess.
It was indeed a load of nonsense.
Libertarian bears? Really?
We support your right to arm bears.
To keep and arm bears. You can't just arm them, you have to keep them as well.
Well, if you arm them, you have to keep them. I don't want a bunch of armed bears wandering around.
Nor do I want to be kept by an armed bear.
That'd be terrifying.
603-283-6160. We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
Mounds and mounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Our cat Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have 2 cats, Zippy and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you'll want to do what's best for them to live long, healthy, happy lives.
DINOVITE.com. I just tried this wonderful Catalicious Dynovite for cats, and my cat has been on it for 2 weeks. She is not scratching anymore. She's not chewing anymore. It is just the best.
I was thrilled when I heard Dynovite for cats was coming out because I'd seen the changes in my dog. To introduce my cats to Dynovite, I took the advice from Dynovite and put their food on top of just a scoop in the bowl, just to get them used to it, because I know if I even switch one little thing, they put their nose up to it. There was not one problem.
Dynovite for life.
You won't believe how happy your cat will be.
DINOVITE.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to AgristHosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's AgristHosting.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the program. It is the live Monday night edition. Our phone number here is 603-283-6160 if you'd like to call in and join the conversation. We'll get to some of your calls and thoughts momentarily. In the studio tonight, it's myself, Captain Kickass, and joining me,
the Dumpster.
And nobody.
And I wanted to tell you that AnyPay 2.0 is here, and crypto payments are now faster than ever. If you're using Edge Wallet, Handcash, Bitcoin.com, or Dash Wallet, your experience should be smooth. But some wallets aren't ready for this impressive new technology. These wallet programmers need to hear from you, the wallet users. Visit anypayinc.com/upgrade to learn why some popular wallets are incompatible with AnyPay 2.0. And reach out to the wallet programmers and encourage them to make payments perfect at anypayinc.com/upgrade. anypayinc.com/upgrade. I paid for dinner last night with my Edge wallet, and the person doing the selling was using AnyPay, and it went smoothly. I purchased beer today, as I said earlier in the program. Also went smoothly. I also got a 5% discount for paying in crypto.
That's nice.
Yeah, I'm like, sweet.
Wow.
Awesome. So let's go to your calls and thoughts right away. We have Bill calling. Bill, you wanted to, well, go ahead. You're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, hi there. Hi, guys. It's Bill Domenico. So listen, I'm broadcasting live from front of Newmarket Police Department right now, where one of the people who was in the group of 8 of us or so, 7 or 8, protesting in front of the Governor's mansion, as His Excellency's mansion here in Newfields tonight, 7 o'clock.
Was this the candlelight vigil?
It was the candlelight vigil. It turned out that candlelight is not allowed. So we got there at 7 o'clock and ready for a silent candlelight vigil.
Yeah.
I had some battery-operated candles. And the cops immediately came over. There was at least a dozen state troopers. There was at least about 20 state troopers because there was 11 cars.
Wow.
Okay, more than has ever been here, I think, by far. They had the generator light tower going in the center of the cul-de-sac. They immediately came over to us just as we got out of our cars. They didn't even let us approach, and they said we could not have a candlelight vigil. They would consider that picketing, and so you can imagine that conversations
picketing being, of course, a First Amendment protected activity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is like in the first 2 minutes of arriving.
Okay.
We're basically surrounded by cops, and they're telling us we can't do this. And so the remainder of the people who were there for the vigil showed up about 5 minutes late, so that they got there. They started walking up. And there was a bunch of discussion going on with the cops. Finally, they came to the agreement that we could keep moving. We couldn't walk in circles around the cul-de-sac. Oh, by the way, they gave everybody a copy of the. Well, they offered it. I didn't take it, but they gave everybody a copy of the new ordinance.
Yeah, I actually have that article up for show prep today. You're referring to the article the ordinance where they've decided to pass an ordinance prohibiting political protests outside of His Excellency Governor Sununu's house.
Wow.
Right.
So
well, they're calling it picketing. They're not actually calling it political protest, but we know that's what it is.
Right.
So after they told us, they said we could walk. We couldn't walk just around the circle continually. We couldn't walk past the governor's house repeatedly, or that would be targeting his house. Even though they also told us he wasn't home. So we asked them what we could do, and they said we could walk down the street, turn around, come back, make a loop around the circle, and then walk down the street again. So we said, okay, we'll do that. We walked down the street. We went down about 6 or 8 houses until we were out of sight of the governor's house. We turned around. We came back. This is basically in silence. We're just talking amongst ourselves quietly.
How many people?
We get back to the cul-de-sac. The cops are there to greet us again.
How many people were
they
you?
tell us we can't come around the cul-de-sac again. We said, you just told us we could. And there's a little paved pathway that goes between the houses that goes to a country store.
Right.
So we asked them if we could go to the country store. And they reluctantly said, yeah, you can, but you got to keep moving. So the 8 of us started. It was 4 and 4. We were in 2 groups because it's just a little narrow pathway.
Okay.
4 went ahead, and then I was in the second 4. And they told us we could go to the country store and we could come back that way and then go down the street again. So that's what we proceeded to do. We got about 100 feet. We weren't even past the governor's backyard. We were like parallel with it. And a bunch of maybe 10 officers came over and they said, stop.
So there were
started,
like 10 more officers hiding in the governor's backyard?
No, they came from the left-hand side.
Oh, okay.
All right, and they stopped the group that was the lead group, which was about 20 feet ahead of me. And they said, we're going to give you a ticket because you weren't basically you weren't moving fast enough.
Did they tell you how fast you were supposed to be walking?
For us to catch up with them.
Oh my gosh!
Okay.
So there's a walking speed limit or something?
Yeah. And then a bunch more cops came up the path, and we were basically kettled in there between 2 groups of cops.
Oh, you got flanked. Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so then the Skylar, the guy named Skylar, I don't really know him, but he had a camera, and they definitely didn't like him. And they told him they were going to give him a ticket, and he said he would take a ticket, and they gave him a ticket. And while this is happening, 12 more cruisers came in a big convoy.
Wait, so there were
filled up
already
the whole circle with cruisers.
So there were already what more? So a couple dozen police cars?
Yes, there was probably 12, 20, maybe somewhere between 20 and 24 police cars.
For 8 people.
Have you noticed how none of us have this kind of concern paid, this kind of attention paid to us when something is bothering us? His Excellency must be really special.
You're gonna love this. So we're all stuck up here on the side path, and the new group of cops that show up, this dozen, they're all in fluorescent yellow jackets, plastic face shields with batons. And they just come up, you know how they do it, shoulder to shoulder, 4 across, 3 rows.
Oh, jeez.
They're in riot gear for 8 people?
We thought they were going to beat the shit out of us. We didn't know what they were going to do.
Don't.
Bill, you're still here. You're still here, Bill. You can't say the S word on the air.
Oh,
so
did I say that?
You did. I just dumped you, and I'm keeping you on because I want to hear the rest of your story. I just have to give you the warning that if you do cuss again, then I'm going to have to disconnect the call.
Oh, okay.
So,
what did I say, SH?
Beat the S out of us is what you said.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Intimidating.
It's all right. It's all right.
I won't do it again.
Yeah, take a deep breath. Focus. Unfortunately, the FCC requires us to do this stuff.
I understand perfectly.
All right. So continue on. You were being confronted on one side by uniformed officers and on the other side by officers in something resembling riot gear?
Well, face shields and batons, which the regular officers didn't have.
Right.
Okay. Plus, their attitude was shittier. You could just tell.
Bill, I'm sorry, dude.
Oh, Bill, we love you. Sorry about that, bro.
Yep.
8 people, and they had that many cops in riot gear?
So, Domster, you might not know, and Bill, thank you for the call. I apologize. I couldn't keep you on after the second FCC violation there. You might not know, this has been an ongoing thing in New Hampshire. Not just New Hampshire. Other states are also protesting at governors' homes. People are sick of the lockdown, sick of the mandates, sick of the masks, and that kind of a thing. And so this has been sort of an ongoing thing. And so there have been multiple protests at the governor's home. He lives in a rural area. There's a cul-de-sac, a circle there with a bunch of greenery. It's almost perfect. It's almost park-like, really. It's too perfect to have a protest there almost. So this is the result of many, many weeks and different varieties of showing up at his house to protest.
Irritated them in every way we could think of, short of
He's
gunplay.
scared.
More Free Talk Live is coming up.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Today's most popular video games take place in dangerous post-apocalyptic landscapes. But are these games enough to prepare our kids for the actual post-apocalyptic future we will all soon face?
I think these games are quite effective at teaching our kids skills like finding shotgun ammo and leading elite squads of super soldiers.
But these aren't the advanced skills that they're going to need. They're going to need the more practical skills like how to find drinking water by collecting the morning dew in human skulls.
Or how to deal with depression when the sun is blocked out for 500 years by a cloud of radioactive dust.
Absolutely. Now, that's the type of knowledge these kids are going to need when their world has been turned into a brutal hellscape.
But these kids said that they know how to find items to barter at weapon shops and how to use medicine packs to heal zombie bites.
The games make it all seem deceptively simple. I mean, in the future, a kid's not going to be able to kill a 6-foot-long irradiated beetle just by pressing a few buttons, and he's going to have to get down there with an axe and hack and hack and hack.
This is the Onion News Network.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Thank you for listening. It is Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio talk program where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about whatever you want. Our phone number here is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160 if you'd like to join the conversation. I really wanted to hear what Bill had to say regarding the events at His Excellency King Governor Sununu's house today. Sadly, Bill violated the FCC, and I was forced to disconnect his call.
They should be violated more often.
I would love to violate the FCC.
Indeed.
But since we are on that subject, I did mention in the previous segment that I did pull this article for News Prep, and we should probably just go ahead and cover it. This is from thegranitegrok.com. Newfields, New Hampshire. This is the town where Governor Chris Sununu, who refers to himself as His Excellency. That's not a lie. It's not us joking. He actually refers to himself as that in everything he writes. If you get a notice from the governor's office, it says, from the office of Governor Chris Sununu, His Excellency.
Did previous governors call that, or is it just a Chris Sununu thing?
I don't know. I've only been here for a year and a half. He's the only governor of New Hampshire that I'm, aware of. Since I've been here, so I don't know if that's a legacy thing or if that's just him. So at any rate,
it's funny.
Newfields, New Hampshire, again, that's the town where Governor Chris Sununu lives, quietly passes ordinance prohibiting political protests outside of Governor Chris Sununu's home.
Wow, specifically what you can't do. Prior restraint of speech based on content.
Right. And this is... whoever wrote this is surprised that there is no other reporting on this. He says,
doesn't he know that the media is bought and paid for by the two major political parties?
This is a person named Steve McDonald who published this.
Apparently he doesn't. Well, Steve, you know now.
Yeah. He says, if there's reporting on this, I can't find it, so I guess this is breaking news. Newfields, New Hampshire, where Republican Governor Chris Sununu lives, has passed an ordinance that makes it illegal to protest outside residential homes, including his. It was proposed on December 8th by Newfields Chief Liebenow after weekly protests outside the governor's home. One participant at the meeting claimed that the protesters are harassing the neighbors with rude, obnoxious behavior, shouting obscenities, and are now blocking the path to the country store.
I'm offended.
Yeah. I'm sorry that they find that harassment and obnoxious behavior and obscenities and, blocking people's way to the store. But you know what the governor's been doing? Well, he's been harassing everybody with his lockdown mandates, his rude and obnoxious behavior, forcing people to not behave as they normally would, as free human beings should. He's been
preventing them from going to the stores, whether they work there or whether they shop there.
Absolutely. So I am not sympathetic towards his neighbors. Perhaps they should go ahead and protest themselves against their neighbor and his actions against the people of New Hampshire. At any rate, the author continues, with promises that these protests would continue until the emergency orders had been lifted. The town took up, or was encouraged to take up, the issue. Select board members Chris Hutchins, Michael Sununu, yes, he's related, and Jamie Thompson.
Oh, isn't that great? Our scumbag governor has a scumbag relative.
Who's part of the scumbag system. Chris Hutchins called the meeting to order and opened the meeting by welcoming those attending in person virtually. He continued explaining the two ordinance items on the agenda. One is specific to an addendum to the noise bylaws, the other pertaining to residential ticketing. He explained that they will do a first of 3 readings of the ordinances, with the second and third readings taking place on December 15th and 22nd. Others in attendance include Jeff Buxton and Jeff Feenstra. Virtual attendees were Matthew Broadhead, the New Hampshire AG's office, Colonel...
And does he have a broadhead?
I don't know. Is that what broads give to him? We don't know. Colonel Nate Noyes, N-O-Y-E-S, not N-O-I-S-E. Yeah. What kind of noise is that? It's a Nate noise. Division of State Policy and Department of Safety Director Bob Quinn, Deputy of Safety. That's a weird list. Other virtual attendees, Jeff Couture, Drew Fessenden, Chris Griffith, Jai Kells, Bobby Kelly and Sean McGowan, Kathleen O'Brien, Debbie Paulenzio, Leslie Steinhauser, Keith Walker, and 2 others not identified.
Well, we can't just allow people to dissent without being imprisoned for it. I mean, good God, pretty soon you'll have the commoners thinking that their opinions matter.
Well, they're questioning the science. And the
science is settled. The science is settled.
There is some minimal back and forth, but everyone is on board. The local chief and state police want this.
Not everyone is on board. I am not on board.
They all seem to believe it's constitutional to prohibit political protest outside a residence.
Or they don't care about the Constitution, which is kind of illustrated by the fact that they violated it left and right in the unconstitutional orders that are being protested in the first place.
Agreed. The only question is the speed at which passage is desired. Everyone wants it passed ASAP, but everyone does not want it passed ASAP, as evidenced by the people protesting outside of the governor's home.
But they wanted to go to jail. That's exactly why they were protesting.
But
please, put us in jail. It's so much nicer in there.
But the process of allowing public input through multiple readings of the ordinance is, for lack of a better word, tradition. Michael Sununu is concerned about maintaining decorums. I don't believe he is.
No, he's concerned about maintaining appearances so that his corrupt self doesn't get, lumped in with his corrupt brother.
In the end, the process wins, and the ordinance proceeds, as usual, to become law on December 22nd, 2020. That's why there were so many more cops out there, according to Bill's call, right? Because they passed this thing. It went into effect on the 22nd. Today is the 28th, so it's probably the first protest since this thing actually went into effect.
Surely there's going to be a lawsuit against this.
Don't call me Shirley.
Oh, yes. But you do have to stop calling us Shirley.
Yeah, indeed. So they have what looks like a picture. It just says, residential picketing prohibited. It is unlawful for any person to engage in picketing before or about the residence or dwelling of any individual in the town of Newfields. Penalties. Any act contrary to this ordinance shall constitute a violation and may be enforced by any law enforcement officer in accordance with RSA 31:39-D. Any person violating any provision of this chapter shall be punished by a fine of not more than $100 for each offense. This town ordinance was adopted on 12/22/20.
See, the thing is, it's worth spending $2,000 to beat that $100 ticket.
Amen to that. And I mean, this just smells of revenue generation. Oh, we better,
Oh, it's not revenue generation. It's making sure that the special people, the people who actually matter, aren't inconvenienced by the drones and the drudges, by the people whose lives and health and experience and financial well-being don't matter.
Right.
Us. People not members of the club.
The protests are scheduled to continue, and the state and local police, based on the 12/8/20 minutes, are eager to enforce the new restrictions, as evidenced by Bill's call to us.
That's funny. I'm eager to see them hung at Nuremberg.
How do you know they're hung?
Well, sadly, they rarely are, but if more cops were hung at Nuremberg for just doing their job, when their job is is a violation of essential human rights, the world would be a better place.
Hashtag
All it needs
ACAB.
is dead cops in Nuremberg.
So this goes on to say, from late November when these began, the Granite Grok, that's the publication here, has opposed residential protests at the governor's home. People are free to protest, and they have that right, but we've dropped more than a few lines about leftists marching up to people's private residences, intimidating neighbors, and without exception, we agree on the principles that motivate them, but oppose protest at people's homes.
Yeah, just go do it at the empty buildings where they used to work.
Right.
That way you won't be seen, and then it won't make any difference at all.
If the situation was not dire, there would be no protest at the governor's home. 603-283-6160. Thanks for sitting in, Dom. More Free Talk Live is coming up.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
Besides, we just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
House Democrats agree with the president. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. And they've passed a bill to increase coronavirus relief payments to taxpayers.
A standalone bill increasing direct payments from $600 to $2,000 met the two-thirds majority required for fast passage.
Because I do think that the American people would love to see that unity on their behalf.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi had urged bipartisan support for the increased payments demanded by President Trump. More than 100 House Republicans opposed the measure.
I worry that this whopping $463 billion won't do what's needed.
Kevin Brady is the top Republican on the House Ways and Means Committee. He argues the stimulus is unlikely to help the economy or small businesses.
Fox's Jared Halpern. The bill next moves to the U.S. Senate, where its fate is uncertain. The House has also voted to override the president's veto of that big defense spending bill.
On this vote, the yeas are 322, the nays are 87. Two-thirds being in the affirmative, the bill is passed.
The president vetoed the National Defense Authorization Bill last week because it failed to remove liability protection from social media companies and would force the Pentagon to start renaming military bases that honor Confederate leaders. The Senate will consider the override next. The search for the motive continues in the Christmas Day bombing in Nashville.
An unnamed investigator being quoted right now saying one of the avenues they are traveling as far as determining a motive is that Anthony Warner was paranoid about 5G technology. Something investigators have said on the record is that the late father of Anthony Warner worked for AT&T. Now, you know that the truck was parked outside of the AT&T building. Investigators say it's not necessarily wrong to make that connection, but this stage of the game, it's too early, and making that connection is speculative.
Fox's Mike Tobin in Nashville. America is listening to Fox News.
Business today moves faster than ever. If you're slow to adapt, then you will get left behind. If you're still running on QuickBooks, that's you. It's time to hit the gas and accelerate with NetSuite. Stop paying for multiple systems that don't give you the information you need when you need it. Ditch the spreadsheets and all the old software you've outgrown. Now is the time to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need, all in one place, instantaneously. Whether you're doing $1 million or hundreds of millions in revenue, save time and money with NetSuite.
Join the over 22,000 companies using NetSuite right now. Let NetSuite show you how they'll benefit your business with a free product tour at netsuite.com/Fox. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/Fox.
A new strain of the coronavirus triggers some travel restrictions to the U.S. from Great Britain.
All travelers from the United Kingdom, including Americans that travel into the U.S., must provide a negative coronavirus test within 72 hours of departure. This new restriction is a response to the new variant of COVID-19 that is more contagious than the original virus, and it is spreading in the U.K. Now, Admiral Brett Gerard, the Assistant Secretary of Health and Human Services, said this about the new strain and whether or not it's in the United States.
We don't have proof that it's here, but we do suspect that it is likely here, given the global interconnectedness.
AstraZeneca says its vaccine is effective against the new strain and could be authorized for use in the United Kingdom this week and distributed as soon as next week.
Fox's Brian Yanis, a court hearing Monday for a U.S. Special Forces soldier charged with 3 counts of murder and 3 counts of attempted murder for a shooting at a Rockford, Illinois bowling alley on Saturday night.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Despite being objectively awful people, newly engaged couple Ross Bird and Jessica Black want their upcoming wedding to really reflect their personalities.
We're pulling out all the stops to have a kind of wedding that just screams us.
Yeah.
We're going to have a bluegrass band playing 80s pop songs. Because Ross loves bluegrass, but I love 80s music.
And then at the end of the ceremony, this is great. We're going to pass out sparklers to all the guests.
Sources claim that a bunch of candles in mason jars and an Instagram photo booth will truly capture the essence of the insufferable pair.
We didn't want some big, stuffy ceremony.
Yeah,
it should feel more like a fun dance party for our friends.
Because the night's about us, yes, but I mean, it's also, about the people who make us, us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And those people love us exactly for our uniqueness.
Sources hoped with every fiber of their being that these two would be divorced within a year.
This is the Onion News Network. Free Talk Live.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. It is Free Talk Live, the live Monday night edition. Our number here is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. If you'd like to give us a call, join in the conversation. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
And nobody.
And we've been talking about King Governor Chris Sununu, His Excellency, as he likes to refer to himself as. And the town that he lives in. Now, okay, first of all, if folks want to protest something and get the governor's attention, normally they would do it at the State House.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to have been the case historically, anyway.
Except the dirtbag is too cowardly to go to the State House, apparently.
Well, and with the lockdowns and everybody staying home, working from home and all that stuff, protesting at the State House, largely ineffectual.
Yes, which is why they think it's important that it only be done there.
And so the protesters themselves decided it would be a much more effective idea to protest at the governor's house, which is, of course, a matter of public record.
If you're going to protest a man, protest him where he is, not where he isn't.
Right, because what would be the point otherwise? And so that's exactly what happened. For many, many weeks now, 6, 8, I don't know how many weeks it's been, there have been multiple organized protests at Governor King Chris, His Excellency Sununu's house.
For sufficiently small values of organized.
Right. And now the town of Newfields, New Hampshire, this is the town where His Excellency Governor King Chris Sununu lives, has passed an ordinance against picketing. It is unlawful for any person to engage in picketing before or about the residence or dwelling of any individual in the town of Newfields, punishable by a fine of not more than $100 for each offense. Now, nobody, you alluded in the previous segments to the unconstitutionality of this ordinance.
Yes, yes.
Can you expand on that at all?
Well, the First Amendment says that we have a right to speak, to be heard. The New Hampshire Constitution also makes it clear that we have a right to speak out, to demand redress of grievance, and even to take such redress by force if we are ignored. So, clearly the ordinance is in violation of those more important acts.
I mean, to me, basically, it's a freedom of speech issue.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. You have a right to speak out.
So this goes on to say, well, this publication objects, at least to a matter of effect, to the
they're kind of
protests
bootlickers.
outside. They are.
They shouldn't have taken Heinlein's word.
They more rigorously protest laws that prohibit peaceful political protest. So even though they don't necessarily agree with the protesters, they're saying that they more rigorously protest the law that they've just passed, prohibiting said protest. And while we will have said we will not be covering these events, we highly recommend that these protesters have multiple recordings from several individuals not directly involved to ensure they have a complete record of their interactions with the police. And I was hoping, we did have Bill on the line, I was hoping we could get that information. He did mention that there was somebody there videoing the event, so hopefully footage does exist of his ordeal.
I hope so too.
They will be warned. They will be fined. This author says, I'd expect a few arrests. The media may have ignored the process of implementing the ordinance, but they will be all over the police fining or possibly even arresting protesters. Someone from the state will have called them to document the enforcement.
Yeah, I doubt they're going to be all over it because journalists are not journalists anymore. The media has become nothing but a mouthpiece for the government. Hopefully I'm wrong. I like to be wrong.
This author of this article goes on to say, I'd suggest the protesters bring a few Black Lives Matter signs with them for the cameras to make the media try and ignore them and BLM to deny any involvement. I don't understand the strategy.
Yeah, these guys, that's the kind of thing that makes me say bootlicker. Apparently, if you're black, your life doesn't matter to them. I think your life should matter to them, no matter what color you are.
And for the record, he goes on, by quietly passing the ordinance, I mean little to no media coverage, as noted in the opening. I have found none yet. And this was published today. So, yeah, they passed this thing on the 22nd. There was no media coverage of it until today.
Yep.
6 days later.
Yep. And this is why there have to be out of the ordinary things done to protest, because things are out of the ordinary. This is not the status quo. This is not business as usual as it has been. This is a complete ramp up of the police state, and it's only going to get worse and worse and worse until people fight back.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing when somebody realizes that they can just write words down on pieces of paper and then make other people do those things that they just wrote down. They go ahead and write more things down that are different to get people to do more things that they don't want to do or otherwise wouldn't do. It's a very interesting phenomena that power begets power begets power, and these people become sick with their power. They become drunk with it. Well, I'll just pass an ordinance. I'll just write this mandate. I'll use this executive order to blah, 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 blah. Yep. You get the point.
Yep. Just so long as they make it known that they're what matters in the universe and the rest of us are only peons.
What bothers me the most about this is that I think that if these protesters had known that this ordinance meeting was happening, they may have protested the meeting.
I would have been happy to show up there if I'd known about it. But you see, the thing is, they're cowards, and they don't want to be protested either. They don't want to actually confront their victims.
Right. Yeah, they just want the armed goons with the badges, the shiny objects pinned to their chest, and the firearms carried.
Well, what's the good of having thugs if you can't use them?
That's a good point. That's a good point. You know, if you're going to have thugs, you better put them to work every now and again. Otherwise, what do you got, right? It's like the security guards who just, sit on their butts overnight and do nothing. At least those guys are doing a real job as opposed to the ones with the badges employed by the state.
Yeah, really.
So, dear Your Excellency, I suspect this is not over.
It's not over.
I suspect that this will continue for quite some time. And whenever we get updates, we will, of course, bring them to you here on Free Talk Live.
And hopefully we'll make some of our own.
Hopefully. Well, switching gears, I'm all over the place with my geography here. I've lived in many different places. I think I've told you that I was originally a Wisconsin kid. I was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. And so I pay attention to stuff, particularly if it's a place where I used to live and that kind of a thing. And I have this article from WTMJ Channel 4 in Milwaukee. Milwaukee homeowners' tax bill goes up by 286%.
Wow. Apparently, he didn't make the right political contributions last year.
286%. That's a huge increase.
Yeah, that's kind of unbelievable.
I'll tell you more about this particular person and what happened in Milwaukee on Free Talk Live. We've got more coming up. If you want to join us, 603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
She's a purebred, orange and white Brittany, but when we adopted April, she started scratching like crazy. I said, what you put into a dog is what you get out. DINOVITE.com. So we added a huge scoop of Dinovite in her bowl. She licked it clean. She loved it. Her coat is now soft. It's silky. Dinovite is nutrition.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
On Dinovite, she's Little Miss Hollywood. DINOVITE.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. Go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized for your needs. If you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com where you can get the latest headlines. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. All put together by the best minds in the business to teach you about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin.com. Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Welcome back to the program. It is Free Talk Live, the Monday night edition. Our phone number here is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160 if you'd like to join us on the air. You're welcome to do so. Join the conversation. In the studio, it's myself, the captain.
Nobody.
And we'll talk more about this person in Milwaukee who saw his property tax bill increase by 286%. Here in a minute. But first, I wanted to tell you that you can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. All right.
Party!
Yes. We may have to fight for our right to party. We can certainly do so at ForkFest.
It's true.
All right, let's go to some of your calls and thoughts. We have Bad Slave calling. Bad Slave, you are on Free Talk Live.
Well, thank you, Captain, and happy to be here. I wanted to just real quickly suggest to I guess Ian, who's not there right now, but and or Mark. Is Mark going to be around much anymore? Is he on his way to?
He's gallivanting, and so whenever he's done gallivanting, he'll be back.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Anyway, I would recommend actually inviting Governor Sununu onto the show, and
that's not a bad idea. Although I think he would quickly decline.
I think it's presented, maybe more by Mark than Ian. Although Ian, when he wants to be, could be very diplomatic, and I just can imagine that being a really interesting conversation.
If he would do it, I would welcome it. I suspect that our invitation would be quickly declined, but certainly
I would suspect that it would be more ignored than declined. But.
Certainly consider your suggestion put into the suggestion box, Bad Slave. We will run it up the hierarchy here of Free Talk Live and see what happens.
Well, the other thing is you guys brought up Grafton, and I just wanted to kind of solidify a claim that I made to Ian the last time I talked about Grafton, and he's not here, but the fact is I looked up the tax revenue thing that I claimed the town, because of the freedom activists, actually lowered the town budget in Grafton 1 year by about 10%, which is huge. And just like Speaker Bill did back in the day for the whole state. So these are things that the Free State Project and the Liberty migration that's going on is very much having an effect.
But I hear that everybody's been eaten by bears.
Huh?
I hear everybody in Grafton's been eaten by bears now. Are there a lot of bear attacks in Grafton that you know of? Because, I lived out there for a year. I don't remember that happening.
My niece just gave my sister a copy of that book. I read I think it was an essay or something, a shorter thing than a book.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that and I said, that guy didn't do very much research on what was actually going on there. There was actually one woman who was attacked by a bear there, up off of Sergeant Hill Road there. I don't know if you know where. That's right. Remember where RV Bob used to park out?
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so it was right up behind her. She had a house, I don't know, did I do some work for her back in the way? But she stuck her arm out and got bitten. And, it didn't do great damage, but
the bears aren't running rampant. The bears aren't running rampant attacking people, right?
Well, no, and they're.
Was the bear wearing a Free State Project T-shirt or anything at the time of the attack?
No, not yet.
Good.
Good.
Although I do personally support our right to keep and arm bears.
Indeed. Hey, Bad Slave, thanks for the call tonight. We appreciate you. Have a good night. Yeah. All right. So this article from WTMJ TV4, Milwaukee homeowners' tax bill goes up by 286%.
Wow.
A Milwaukee homeowner said...
Who did he irritate?
Right. A Milwaukee homeowner said his property tax bill increased 286% this year after assessors... You'll note that the word assessors starts with the word ass. Assessors determined the value of his home went up by more than $100,000.
Wow.
Channy Razavong has owned a home on West Galena Street in Milwaukee for at least 20 years. And he says he's rented it out for about 16 of those 20 years. He was shocked when he opened his tax bill this year. He owes more than $3,500 this year, when last year he paid a little more than $900. The bill shows his property was assessed at $138,900. Online property records indicate it was assessed at just $37,900 in 2019. For you folks who live in like these areas where you can't get a house for less than, $250,000, this might be shocking to you, but yes, older cities have older homes, and the prices of homes are incredibly affordable by way of comparison. But still, this
not if your tax bill does that every
not
year.
If your tax bill jumps 286%, you won't be affording it for very long. He says, I just do regular maintenance to keep the property up to code. There's no new improvements. That's why I was really shocked, of course. In a statement Wednesday, Alderman Milel Coggs announced that she wants a review of the assessment process after getting calls and emails from constituents about how they will pay their tax bill. So apparently, it's not just this one guy. The tax bill has gone up astronomically for many folks, likely in this same neighborhood, if not throughout the entire state of Wisconsin.
Well, it costs a lot of money to keep us from working.
603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up.
Doodle, Stuart, Harold, and Pork Chop. Pork Chop, his beautiful blonde coat is very thick. He's an Akita, German Shepherd, Lab, Husky mix. They did a DNA test on the 4 rescues. The first year is just a complete retraining. Lots of love, discipline, and daily upkeep. I'm a registered nurse and a personal trainer. If I eat healthy, then my dog should eat healthy. DINOVITE.com. They need the vitamins and minerals that Dynavite provides.
Dynavite is nutrition.
Harold, the Border Collie Pit Mix, has the most beautiful jet black coat. Stuart, my rat terrier, has fur now where he never had it before. Doodle, he's a poodle cocker spaniel. His energy is tremendous. The Dynavite will make your dog happy, vivacious, jump up and down, wag their tails. It will make you smile.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dynavite at DINOVITE.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish, in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You know how annoying it is when someone keeps stopping mid-sentence as though he or she were asking you a series of questions? Avoid doing that. It sounds unnervingly tentative, and it imposes upon the listener to help you complete the thought. And if you're a job seeker, this alone could be a deal killer. An effective communicator sounds more confident. Complete the thought. Avoid making the listener impatient. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. Cutting through the clutter rather than blending into the blah, blah, blah will help you connect better no matter what the conversation. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook. Survivalspeech.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This is Free Talk Live, the live Monday night edition. Our phone number here is 603-283-6160, and we'll get to your calls and your thoughts here shortly. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
And nobody.
And I wanted to take a minute to say thank you to Richard Freeman. He is a silver level amplifier. And what is an amplifier, you might ask? Well, if you go over to amp.freetalklive.com, you can find out all about the amplifier program. Basically, it's a way for you to help get this particular radio show that you're listening to right now onto more radio stations. It costs money to do that, some time, some effort, and we have a way for you to contribute. The money goes exclusively to getting this show onto more radio stations. It doesn't go into, like my beer budget or, anything like that. It doesn't, pay for pizza or anything like that. It goes specifically to get us on more radio stations. We're on somewhere around 180 or so stations now. We could be on 200. We could be on 250. It's all up to you if you visit amp.freetalklive.com. We only ask for $5. You can contribute more if you like. There are different levels. You get different perks for the amount that you contribute, and you can find those, again, over at amp.freetalklive.com. Thank you again, Richard Freeman, for being an amplifier. We appreciate you. We will try and get back to this bit in Wisconsin, but first let's go to some of your calls and thoughts. We have David in New Mexico calling. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Surprise, surprise.
What's on your mind tonight?
Some effort. You got some effort promoting your radio station. Is that what you said? So would that be Ian or Mark?
I don't know what you're
not
talking
me. I don't do sales.
I don't know what you're...
Oh, there's reasons for
you're
that.
You're talking about the amplifier program.
Yeah. You said it takes some effort to do that.
It takes few efforts to do that. Actually, several efforts. To do that.
Yeah,
but the efforts it takes are not mine.
But if you would like to become an amplifier, visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Well, I personally have never been attacked by a bear, but I have attacked a bear, so I don't know, that's close.
When was this?
Oh, that one was, I don't know, 3-4 summers ago.
Were you out bear hunting?
No, I was camping.
Were you bear at the time?
This bear kept coming by my camp every night. And I would run into him when I would go on my hikes. I'd run into him every now and then. I knew it was the same bear. And so one morning, I don't know, 9, 10 in the morning, I'm sitting there sipping a coffee, leaning against a tree, and this bear comes wandering into my camp, sniffing around, trying to find what food he could find. So I charged him. I turned the tables on him. I charged him instead of the other way around.
And then what happened?
He took off like a scared little baby. Ran like a bunny rabbit.
Now, had you showered that day? Because I'm told that the human stink is pretty strong and can scare away even, the mightiest of woodland creatures.
No. I know for a fact I hadn't showered that day because I don't shower. I don't bathe.
All right.
Yeah. So anyway, what I was calling about was I jacked the largest radio station in the state of New Mexico.
What do you mean by jacked?
Took it over. Hey, what do you call that when takeover? That's what they call it, right? If somebody has a web channel and they're live streaming, and then all of a sudden by prearrangement, dozens or hundreds of people enter their channel. Is that what that's called? A takeover? What's it called?
I don't know what that's called.
I don't know either. I think
I didn't even know that happened.
Like when a television station interrupts the current programming, that's called preempting.
No, I was talking about web streamers. They'll be doing their web stream and they'll have 10 viewers or whatever, and then all of a sudden they got 110 viewers because somebody else sent all of their viewers over to the other web stream.
Oh,
anyway.
Yeah, there is a term for that. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what this was like. I figured it would happen. I called in. This dude on the local radio station had a combination of open lines, open topic, whatever, combined with promote your small business or your nonprofit or whatever. So I called in and I promoted that. On Facebook, there's a group that's got 583,000 likes, which is pretty good, right?
Okay.
And it's a men's rights movement. Is
Oh,
what
it's
it is
like
on Facebook. And,
it's like
and
the
there are
Fro,
hundreds
right? It's like the Fro.
Of those.
And the Fro, if
But
you don't
there's
know, David, if you don't know, the Fro stands for Father's Rights Organization. It's a Fro.
Oh, Father.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said men's. I meant fathers. Father's Rights Movement is the one I was talking about. Anyway, so I promoted that website, that organization, and I knew what would happen. Just like Ian says, it happens frequently. So I did this, and from then till the end of the program, there was like 40 minutes left. And out of the dude's next 4 callers, 3 of them were calling, complaining about the family court system. They were three out of the 4 callers. They were all dads. One hadn't seen his kids in 10 months. Another one hadn't seen his kids in a year and a half. And but it's pretty funny how that happens. It just shows how prevalent the problem is. That you make one phone call to a radio station, and they're not even talking about that stuff. And then the next 3 out of 4 callers till the end of the show are all calling about the same problem.
Yeah, well, and that goes to show you how widespread the problem of fathers' rights are, right? And the family court in and of itself is one of the most heinous places people can end up, because they don't even function like a regular court. Regular courts in the United States are heinous and horrible. And, it's, what do they call it? A conflict of interest, right? Because the judge, the prosecutor, and the police all derive their paychecks from the same frickin' place. That's the government. So it's a complete conflict of interest. Now, family courts take that to a whole other level, where the judges and the lawyers on both the defendant and the plaintiff side all get together and party and have cocktails and figure out ways to extract money from you.
Yep. Yeah, that's like when I was doing my custody deal. They had I was pro se, so the other side hires a lawyer, and then the very first hearing you go into court, the judge appoints 2 more lawyers that you're forced to pay for, otherwise you're in violation of a court order. They appoint an attorney for the guardian ad litem for the children, and actually they had to appoint one for me because of they didn't know it, but the law required them to. But they appoint all these attorneys, and then the attorneys that they appoint, like for the children, they then extort money from the parents to pay their fee,
right?
Because because the judge appointed them.
Wow.
Yep, they certainly do. Anything else on your mind?
I wish there was a good way for me to spend a bunch of some judge's money.
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, then they'll appoint you. They'll send you. Well, you got to go see this expert, and you got to go see this expert. Oh, and by the way, you got to pay them. They're $90 an hour.
Yeah, they charge exorbitant fees for their quote services unquote. You are getting serviced, all right.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they say. It's the job of the government to provide service, and it's the job of the media to provide the lubrication.
Indeed. Hey, David, thanks for the call tonight. We appreciate it. Good luck with all of your court battles. I wish you the best. I feel for you. I feel like it's a losing battle, but I wish you the best. I hope you win in some way, shape, or form.
Me too.
It's just horrible. Let's go to Breaking the Flaw calling. Breaking the Flaw, you're on Free Talk Live.
Breaking the Flaw.
Hey
Breaking
guys,
the Flaw.
how you doing?
Hey, what's up, bro?
What's on your mind?
Oh, not much. I'm sorry I couldn't make it to that candlelight vigil, but
well, we couldn't either because we're here
help.
doing this. So
yeah, I went to Lebanon to help another auditor out because he almost got arrested for filming inside a city hall, and I had to make sure I got.
I want to hear more about that. Can you hold on?
Sure.
Okay, I'm just gonna put you back on hold. 603-283-6160 is our number if you'd like to join the conversation. We'll hear more from Breaking the Flaw about filming and auditors coming up on Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live.
Are you saying there's something wrong with a gay couple adopting children?
Absolutely.
What could possibly be wrong about that?
Then the children are going to be raised by queers instead of by,
You are homophobic, aren't you, Tom?
No.
I think so.
But anyway.
What's wrong with them being raised by gay people?
Because gay people are unfit to raise children.
How dare you?
I object a lot. I had a friend who was adopted by gay parents, and he grew up just fine with completely normal values, and he's a very normal, functioning member of society.
I've met plenty of gay people in my time who I thought would make fantastic parents and would be far better parents than many of the white trash parents that are out there raising kids today. Tom, do you know any gay people?
I try not to, but...
Yeah, well, that figures, and you're about done. Thanks for the call.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. Welcome back to the program, everybody. Our phone number here is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain, and I'm joined by Nobody. Nobody has stepped away for a moment, but he'll be back in just... Oh, look, there he is.
Nobody's here.
Where did Nobody go? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows where nobody goes when nobody isn't there.
Well, at least now we know what nobody knows.
It's true.
So we're going to go back to breaking the flaw. He was doing something interesting today, and will you just recap for us what your adventures are today?
Yeah, so I went to go meet up with another auditor. That's Press NH Now on YouTube, and he was being trespassed by the Lebanon police for filming in City Hall.
When you say he was being trespassed,
he was given so they trespassed him.
Okay, so when you say he was trespassed,
you mean he was given a no trespassing order for the property?
Yes, though he has not broken any crime, breaking any law.
And he was given this because he was filming on the property. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
So I went to Lebanon to challenge that right away. So I walked in, and I did a records request, and I did a records request on the armored window gates that they have on all the windows in the office there.
Okay.
And then I proceeded to do a full audit of the City Hall without a mask on, of course.
What is a full audit of a City Hall?
So we do multiple things. We check, make sure everything's safe, right?
Okay.
We might point out where all the cameras are. We might, show how the people react that work there. If they react nicely, they're like, they get a thumbs up. But if you want to create content, you want to give me a lot of views, you act out, or you become a snowflake and you wig out.
Okay, understood.
But so that's generally how it goes, and I get a lot of snowflakes, and I get a lot of views.
Yeah, sadly, that seems to be how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so I went there, and they were fine for me. They didn't call the police on me, but for Press NH Now they did, and so I went over there, and then we went after that. We went to the police station, and they were pretty cordial there. I didn't, they didn't give me any trouble, and we were able to. Well, they kind of gave Press New Hampshire now some trouble with the records request, but and then we went over to Hartford, and they were just totally snowflakes. They were just like blocking all the windows from the building. They wouldn't let us in the town hall because of COVIDs.
Do you have the cooties?
Can't let
they thought we did. Like, they literally have a rack outside the building. It's like, you don't have a mask? Here, have a free mask. And it's like, and there was like a bag on the ground. It was weighted down by it, and it had sheep all over it. It was hilarious.
It had sheep?
Yeah, you got to check out the video, man. They get triggered. And the cops came, they left, then they called them again because they wanted like an escort to their cars. And they wouldn't say a single word. I asked them like a Dave Ridley question. Well, what have you done to reduce taxes?
Yeah, nice.
They just didn't say a single word, and they left.
Of course.
Wow.
Well, I appreciate your service. Anything else on your mind?
No, I just want to tell you guys about that. If you guys can get over to my channel, it'd be great. Breaking the Flaw.
Please check
there's
that
other
out.
auditors out here.
Where are you at, on YouTube?
Yeah, on YouTube. And Yeet, It's a Cop. That's another guy that goes out with me. And then you got Press NH Now. And if you guys get over to their channels too, that'd be great. And check out what happened today.
Awesome. Appreciate the call today. That's good work. That's good work. I wish there could have been more folks at the Candlelight Vigil tonight based on the reports that I'm seeing on the media that I'm plugged into.
Yeah, I didn't know it was happening, but wow, if I'd known there was going to be a massacre in New Hampshire, I would have been sure to be there.
Well, it wasn't necessarily a massacre, but it was certainly a setup.
Well, we need to start the Alice's Restaurant anti-massacre movement.
All right, so here in the waning moments, I just want to finish off this bit about this guy in Milwaukee where his property tax went up 286%. He was shocked when he opened his tax bill. Last year he paid a little more than $900, but this year his property was assessed at $138,900, which means he had to pay $3,500.
Wow.
In tax. So, yeah, that's a lot. That's a big increase. He said he hasn't improved anything in the house. He's just doing regular maintenance. He hasn't done any renovations. In a statement Wednesday, an Alderman Coggs announced she wants a review of the assessment process after getting calls and emails from other folks who are wondering how they're going to pay their tax bill. The City of Milwaukee Assessment Commissioner Steve Miner took a look at it. He says Rasavong is not alone. I suspected as much, and that several parts of the city saw increases. Assessments are determined by recent sales of comparable homes, and Miner attributes the increasing prices, assessment prices, to high demand and low interest rates.
Well, they've got to raise those taxes because how else are they going to force out the people who don't matter so the people who do matter can move in?
Yeah, don't like the poor? Raise taxes. They'll leave. Even if a property owner hasn't changed their property, if the market in their neighborhood or similar properties have increased, then their value will increase also. That's a politician's way of saying, we don't care, your taxes are going up, pal.
Yep.
He stressed his office doesn't create the market, they follow the market.
Wow.
Yeah, but they certainly take money from people without their permission.
Well, I mean, it is true, though, because it's a government agency, so they don't actually create anything.
That is a matter of
They just steal.
Back in April, the city assessor's office announced it mailed out its assessments, which were calculated before the pandemic. So the pandemic has, get ready for your next tax bill, pal. Post-pandemic tax bill is going to go up even higher.
Yep, because, hey, just because somebody's stopping you from working doesn't mean that they're not entitled to your money.
Miner said the assessments are mailed out before the city sets tax levies and budgets, which help determine the tax bill. An increase in assessment does not necessarily mean an individual's tax payment will increase. And the city's tax collections are not significantly increased as a result of higher assessment, the city wrote in a news release back in April. Rasavong's assessment is way above his district's average residential property values for the year, which data from the city.
Dump yourself.
I did.
Good God.
I had to dump myself.
You used it on yourself.
I wasn't even like really all that upset or anything. I was trying to say the word city.
Yeah, it didn't work. Yeah, that's not how you say it.
But I said it wrong.
You did say it wrong. You Mongolians, you stay away my wall.
Oh, man. I mean, what happened to this guy is a word that rhymes with city.
It is.
And it's a word that rhymes with city of the city to do this to this particular person and
it rhymes
else.
With city that we can't say city.
Right.
When something city happens to people.
Rasavong has not appealed, and now he says he'll struggle to pay his tax bill. He worries not only for his bottom line, but also for his neighbors. If I'm affected, I'm for sure that the rest of apparently this guy's Laotian. I'm for sure the Laotian community will be affected as well. Miner said next year you will get a new assessment if physical improvements have been made to your property, but everyone can still file an appeal. So they're like, oh, you don't like your high taxes? File an appeal. And guess where the appeal goes? Nowhere. That's right. It goes No way.
Well, I don't know if you pay off the right lawyer. That's because the thing is, a good lawyer knows the law, but a great lawyer knows the judge. And when you know the judge, Bob's your uncle.
Bob's your uncle. It's a British saying. What does it mean? It means Bob's your uncle.
Well, it means basically
the job
Bob's
is done.
your uncle. It means you're all set. Everything's going to be fine. And it's based on that idea that, oh, you need to sing from Bob. Oh, Bob's your uncle. That's great.
And just like on Free Talk Live, when we hear this music going out from the segment, Bob's your uncle.
Bob's your uncle.
Bob's your uncle. We are out of time. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you missed any part of this show or any of our other shows, find us at archives.freetalklive.com. This has been a fun show. Peace.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I